Hi, I'm Michelle Begue with a look at what's happening in Latin America now. But first, our news trivia. Which president in Latin America is presenting a new TV show with an artificial intelligence sidekick named Sira? We'll have the answer later. Prison violence in Ecuador continues. At least 12 inmates died in one of the country's deadliest prisons, the Litoral Penitentiary of the city of Guayaquil. Officials say they're investigating the violence that broke out on Friday after a week of deadly incidents. 6 inmates were found hanged on Wednesday. On Thursday, 3 female guards were killed outside the prison by hired gunmen. That led to the violent clash on Friday. Guayaquil and its prisoners have recently become the epicenter of a war between drug traffickers. Some Peruvians are calling for the reactivation of tourism with an indigenous ceremony. The Inti Raymi 4-day festival in Cusco will take place at the end of June. This weekend, the president of Peru, Dina Boluarte, attended a promotion for the event in Lima. The festival had been suspended for 3 years because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Recently, Cusco was hit hard economically due to social and political unrest in the country. With the Inti Raymi festival, the president says they hope to receive 70,000 tourists and revive the tourism economy. In March, Argentina's monthly inflation rate hit 7.7%. That's the highest monthly rate since 2002. Meanwhile, the annual inflation, which means the sum of the last 12 months, reached 104.3%, according to statistics from the government. The increase in food prices is making it more difficult for citizens to make ends meet. The government says 4 out of every 10 Argentine citizens are considered poor. The images of people living on the street are becoming more common and presenting a challenge to those who confront it on a daily basis. Let's go to my colleague Joel Richards, who reports on the latest changes in Chile's work week.
More than 4.7 million workers will benefit from a law that reduces working hours in Chile. From now, the working week will be 40 hours, down from 44. This brings the country into line with Ecuador as 2 of the exceptions in a region which, according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, has amongst the longest working hours in the world. Argentina, Colombia and Mexico work 48 hours weekly. In Brazil, the number is around 44. Now, this law took 6 years to come into effect, and it's a victory for leftist President Gabriel Boric, who took office over a year ago on the promise and the mandate to bring major social and economic reform to the country. His tax reform was voted out by Congress, and his government also backed constitutional reform, which Chileans voted against in a referendum. Boric took to social media to say this is a project that benefits families and also people's health. Now, there was opposition to this law amongst conservative sectors, but it does follow suit from Europe, where many countries are looking at reducing working hours. And 500 companies in Chile have already voluntarily reduced the working week to 40 hours. The law is expected to come into effect on May the 1st, the International Workers' Day, but it will take some 5 years to take full effect, and it also fails to reach almost a quarter of the workforce, which is in the unregulated informal sector.
And let's take a look at what stories we're following for next week. An armed dissident group in Colombia says it's ready to start peace talks with the government. The FARC dissident group that rejected the 2016 peace agreement between the government and FARC rebels now goes by the acronym EMC. They announced they are ready to open a dialogue with the Colombian government starting May 16th. Colombia has several active left-wing guerrillas, right-wing paramilitary groups, and traffickers vying for control of drugs and illegal mining resources. The Colombian government has opened the door to negotiations with these groups in an effort to reach total peace. And now the answer to our news trivia. The answer is A. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro launched his new show called With Maduro on public television. The move comes a year before the next presidential election. The show caused a stir with the opposition, who complained they don't have a voice on national television. On the first broadcast, Maduro presented a female artificial intelligence avatar for a segment and nicknamed her Sira. That's a nod to Apple's Siri. This isn't the first time Maduro has ventured onto the small screen. He hosted a Sunday program from 2013 to 2017 and later a salsa show where he mixed the musical genre with talk of politics. That's it for this week. We'll see you again soon on Latin America Now.